Today we're speaking to Joey. He's a restaurant entrepreneur, helping himself to £60,000 a month worth of revenue. As we all know, hospitality, leisure and restaurants are devilishly difficult to make a profit from. Is he making any money? Let's find out. I guess that this is more trickier than we first thought. Strap yourselves in. Welcome back to the Business Broadcast. I'm James Sinclair. Follow me on Instagram at James Sinclair Entrepreneur. And if you'd like to follow James Burt, where do you need to go, JB?
Just go to James Burt Official. There you go. For those who have got no context, that's just like
James
an ongoing
Burt
joke.
Well, no. It's James Burt Official in case they get mixed up with all the other
All
James
the others.
Burts.
There's loads of them. All of them.
We would like to point out today some of the things that we're going to be talking about.
Can you get serious? Best part of 250,000 people listened to this on Spotify last month, and you're knobbing about with my name. They're like, who is this oracle of entrepreneurship?
I'd like you to just pipe down, please. Yes.
Speak into the microphone.
Speak into the mic. Sorry, JB. Sorry, Charles. Right. What are we doing today? We are going to Hospitality Land, I believe.
We are. We're
Tell us about the business.
Hospitality Land in Felixstowe. I know what you're thinking. Hospitality in Felixstowe. What? Yeah, we are. Big Bro Bao. That's a mouthful, isn't it? They've been trading for just under 2 years. Estimated monthly revenue, they're doing about 60 grand a month. They have got 14 team members. Biggest challenge, seasonal trade, as one of our sites is in a seaside town.
But basically, we say in hospitality, it's effectively a restaurant.
It is a restaurant.
And you had a little pre-chat, and we both did.
Yes. So they do Pan-Asian food.
What does Pan-Asian? You cook it in a pan? Is that
really
what it means?
Yes, Asian food in a pan, as opposed to oven Asian, which is not so popular these days.
No,
Pan-Asian, I think
stir fry.
I think it's like like an Asian hybrid. So it's probably like a little bit Thai, a little bit Chinese, a little bit. Yeah, sure. Yeah. We could be getting racially slurring ourselves here. What is Pan-Asian, Joey? Just so we don't mix ourselves up.
So exactly that. Pan-Asian is basically a hybrid incorporating everything from sort of North and South China, a little bit of Korea, Thailand, and then more moving into Japan as well.
Okay.
Brilliant. We'll be back with you. Thank you for saving us from saving ourselves. There you go, Pan-Asian.
Well, I think you got that right.
I did. It was a good guess, wasn't it? I like the fact you thought it was just cooked in a pan, though. So they are in Felixstowe in Suffolk. So they are, in a seaside location. Second biggest challenge is finding staff that are as passionate about the brand as us. Well, if you're never going to find people that are passionate about the business as you are you, realistically? But we'll cover that challenge. And the third big challenge, VAT and turnover taxes. Always using your language there.
Well, he knows, because if you're in hospitality and leisure, turnover taxes absolutely kill you. And for anyone that watched this going, well, the VAT's not your money. But let me give you some clarity for this, because those that run hospitality and leisure businesses pay some of the highest turnover taxes in Europe. If you was opening a restaurant in Ireland, in Spain, in France, in Germany, you would be paying lower turnover taxes than here in the UK. Now, you might have a lower corporation tax, but corporation tax really only comes in if you're making some money. So on your journey to making money, the 20% VAT is a horrific amount of money. And remember, by the way, that lots of restaurants and hospitality businesses are buying in their stuff 0 rated. Just teaching people to suck eggs here. I'm sure a lot of people get this, but you buy in a tomato and a piece of mozzarella, that's a 0 rated item. You cut it up into slices, shove it on a plate, put a bit of balsamic vinegar on it and a basil leaf, and say, there we go. And it's now in a restaurant. That then attracts 20% turnover. So 20% is going to the government, and there's not much to claim back on. You're running a builder's merchant, for example, and you're buying in a load of goods, you're offsetting VAT. So it's not so painful. So hospitality and leisure, just gets hammered all the time. Business rates, insurance premium tax, the higher rates of national insurance contributions on employers, your green levy tax on all your utilities, and that's why you've got to do some serious money to make some money.
Is all food 0 rated then?
If you serve it hot or you sit down.
No, sorry, when you buy it in. So is it?
There is some things that, I think confectionery is not, but cooking chocolate is.
Really?
Yeah.
So anything like a raw ingredient is 0 rated?
Let's say as a rule of thumb. Yeah.
So what if you, because I know there's this whole thing about there was the, Greg's went on about the pasty tax, wasn't there?
Because if you sell it cold, it's definitely 0 rated.
Yeah.
If you sell it hot, then it becomes vatable.
So what's the thinking and the theory with that? Because like a mozzarella, as an example, you could serve that as a hot or a cold dish. So you might say like mozzarella as a starter.
If it's
cold.
takeaway,
Yeah.
and you're not eating it. So if you eat the pasty and you sit down and it's cold or hot, it becomes vatable. So if you're sitting in the premises, and it's your premises, and it's not takeaway, whether it's hot or cold, it's vatable.
Right. Yeah, you can understand now, like say sort of if people don't understand it, you look at it and go, well, everyone's, having to get a 20%
it's very complicated.
hit. But
It's complicated. I mean, this is a coffee we bought from Morden Coffee, which is a lovely little coffee shop next door to us. If I buy a takeaway cappuccino from them, which I did, and that's got VAT on. If I buy a cold iced latte, no VAT, as long as I'm taking it away.
Really?
But if I eat it, so cold milk-based drinks, so a milkshake that you take away, no VAT. Milkshake that you drink in the premises becomes vatable.
Which is why they will say you're eating it and taking it away.
On cold things, yeah. I think McDonald's do it, which is the famous one for that, because they put it on a tray or in a bag, depending on what. Right. Because if it's hot food, whether you eat it in or take away, it becomes vatable. Now the Greggs thing is.
What if you just do it? Just say to them, look, we don't serve it hot. It's always lukewarm.
Well, that
can we do 10% VAT if it's lukewarm?
That no. That is where the Greggs thing. So they were saying, look, we cook the pasties off. You could buy them 3 hours later or straight away, and that's how they won the case, because they cook them off to be sold, and whether you buy them hot or cold depends on the time that it's done, and that's how they sort of dealt with that.
Oh, right. So did they get away with it then?
Yeah, they won it, but I mean, they put some.
They got deep pockets to fight that
take
battle.
On Greggs. Yeah, but they have got. I mean, I'm a big fan of Greggs. Their egg mayonnaise sandwich, I think, is better than Marks and Sparks. Just putting it out there.
Wow. Guys, you heard it here first.
No, I'm a big fan of a good value for money, brilliant brand. I'm a big fan of Greggs, and a lot of people are. They've done this very rare thing where they've got the 60-year-olds that like them. My 8-year-old son is a big Greggs fan. He sees a Greggs, he wants a Greggs sausage roll. He loves them. So they've got all of market in terms of teenagers. I mean, you go in that Greggs that's down there after school. Yeah. I mean, it is like a secondary school in Greggs.
Yeah.
So they've been very clever. I mean, brilliant business. I mean, one of the problems Greggs has actually is they've sort of got to the capacity of where they can grow that business. Yeah. They're putting them in Primarks now. They're trying to find new routes to market, because they really are.
They were doing branded merch, weren't they, last Christmas?
Yeah.
They
People love
Greggs
them.
socks. Yeah,
people love Greggs. It's very good business, good value for money, very consistent.
Now I've got a free advert on James Sinclair's business.
No, but look, that is, if you're a good business, you got to. There's no two ways about it. It's a good business.
It is. Is it still independently owned?
Don't know.
It's a family from up north, isn't it? Newcastle based.
Certainly, definitely started that way.
Right, let's go back to the challenge. So VAT and turnover taxes, they've actually started, this was their third biggest challenge for Big Bro Bao, who we're talking about today.
Do you know what though? Sorry, you just made one of the problems with their business. Compare it to Greg. So Big Bro Bao that's coming on today. Careful how you say it.
Big Bro Bao.
One of the problems that their business has, and I was speaking at a conference this morning for someone. One of my biggest learns in businesses over my 20 years of doing this gig, more than that now, nearly quarter of a century, is learning about good models.
Yeah.
Greggs has a exceptional business model for profitability. Does this business have the right model? I think they're peddling an okay model, and they need to tweak it for greatness.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a little while. They've actually started a petition to lower VAT for hospitality, which is actually on the .gov website, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing that for 20 years. I've been doing all of those things.
Barking up the wrong tree.
I've even gone to chancellors and told them to their face. It is disgusting.
Well, how do they react when you say that to them?
Well, I don't care, because I love telling them.
No, but what do they, like when you give
that to them? Well, George Osborne, when I said to him, I said, look, here's the problem with hospitality and leisure, mate. That we're employing lots of young people. We are essential parts of the community, and you're taxing us at every possible point. And they go, yeah, we've got the lowest corporation tax in the G7 or whatever palaver they say. I get, that's all right when you made a profit. What about the first 10 years on your way to making a profit? Why do we have horrific failure rates compared to other countries in Europe? Because it's too many turnover taxes. Business rates are a joke. and VAT is a joke. And I said, you need to lower them. And he said, I can lower one. I mean, he was jesting with me. And I said, I'll have the VAT lowering when you get the business rates. And I promise you, that was my conversation with George Osborne. We might actually, Juds, we've got a picture of that. Can you remind him to put that in the edit, gang, of me? I went and met him dressed in my Partyman regalia, yellow trousers, purple top.
Oh, I remember. Is this when you were younger?
Yeah.
You and Aaron outside.
Yeah. We went to a Q&A with him. I liked him, and I listened to him on his podcast with Ed Balls, which I like. It's called Political Currency. Really interesting. Like, when politicians come out of being politicians and they do podcasts, you like them.
Yeah.
You like them, whether they're Labour, whatever your swing is. You go, why were you not like that when you was in?
Yeah.
And I think that's why people like Donald Trump, Nigel Farage are winning politics, because they are unashamedly themselves.
Yes, absolutely. That's why, going on the Joe Rogan podcast arguably won Trump.
Yeah.
Those swing states in the States, because he got
so
well understood.
Sure.
Well, we don't do politics on this show, remember?
No, we don't do politics.
Where do you want to be in 1 year's time? We asked Joey, and he said at least one more venue, completed a brand book and operational systems manual currently being made. What does the business look like when it's finished? He said multiple sites throughout the country, and bought out by one of the big brand houses and taken on to become a large corporate chain. Do you make the profit you want to make? And if so, what is it? He said, currently we are investing our profit into the business consistently, investing into our new sites this year. We want to target festivals too with a mobile big Bro Bao truck. So he swerved the question there, so we'll guess that that's a no. How do you spend your day-to-day time in the business? He says 60% on operations, 40% marketing, although I want to be less operations and more marketing. He's followed the James Sinclair playbook, hasn't he? And he's also got a bunch of questions that he'd like to ask to you.
Really interesting on that point about marketing. When we put marketing, we mean growing our business rather than operating our business, the regular thing that we talk about here. So I've done a big talk this morning for guys that were interested in buying businesses. Not my audience, someone paid me to go and talk at it. And I done one of my things about my philosophies and methodologies at the beginning for the first half hour. I said, look, the most successful people that come on our pod, that I meet, like, personally to me, not just through doing this stuff, the super successful ones that I meet spend all their time on business development, growing their business, not operating their business. And so I went around the room and I said, look, I'm going to write growing on the flip chart and operating on the other half. And I'd just like you to think of your percentage where you're at. Everyone is operating their business. More time spent in the weeds.
Yeah.
Then my worry is for this business, though, that what he's doing here is, because this model isn't working, he's hunting for other stuff. Oh, we're going to do festivals. You ain't seeing Greg's doing that unless it's a big marketing thing. Let's open another shop because we know we've got a model that works. Want to open more sites. He's trying to look for volume. I know, because I've been there. He's trying to find ways to fix the thing by doing other things, when really that original site might need a tweak, or it's just, that's the problem.
Well, we will get into that in a little while, but before we do all of that, there's a knock at the door.
Come on in, baby.
Interesting quote or fact. Interesting quote or fact. Interesting quote or fact. It's time for the interesting quote or fact of the week.
As the overly intense jingle suggests, it's time for interesting fact or quote of the week / podcast, because it now comes out twice / sometimes 3 times a week.
I've got 2. I'm going to do quote and fact. What are you
Go
doing?
on, then. I'm going to go for a quote.
What's your quote?
I've been reading a book by Naval Ravikant.
Oh,
Who's
told me that?
Interested.
Now that book has come up multiple times.
The Almanac. Almanac of Naval.
Is that Chuds that has been going on about?
Probably. It sounds like a Chuds thing. He's a VC investor, tech guy.
Yeah.
Done very, very well financially, like
Must
worth
be
billions.
Chuds. Yeah.
But he is spends a lot of time thinking. He's quite a big thinker, quite a deep thinker. Anyway, this was a quote from the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Sharks eat well, but they live a life surrounded by sharks. I thought that's really good.
Let's have that one more time.
Sharks eat well, but they live a life surrounded by sharks.
And what do you think that means in your...
So I think that means that they do well in terms of, like, a shark is just there to procreate and to eat. So they eat very well, but they live a life of
apex predator.
Yes, they're an apex predator. Hello. Is this Steve Backshall all of a sudden? Deadly 60?
Well, do you know what an apex predator is?
It's the top of the food chain.
That's right, baby.
There you go. You tried to trip me up there, didn't you? You're going, this idiot in flip-flops.
Yeah.
I know though, don't I? So I think they do very well in terms of eating, but they live a life of danger at the same time. Because of being surrounded by constant risk. So they do well, but they're surrounded by risk, like consistently, aren't they?
Yes. What, by other sharks?
Yeah. Do sharks eat other sharks?
No, I don't think they do.
I reckon they
would.
would.
I think the philosophy that he's trying to get to is venture capitalists eat well, but they're surrounded by other venture capitalists. Yes. Rather, I think sharks actually probably don't attack each other at all. They just
wonder if they do.
But venture capitalists or, that sort of world that he lives in, sharks in that world are VCs.
The vulture capitalists, as you call them.
The vulture capitalists. What do you call?
Here we go.
What do you call a French tourist on holiday in flip-flops?
Philippe Philop.
Yeah. And you're gonna have to get it on shot. Just show everyone what you're wearing today. No, because I think the pod could help you. Look at this. Look, just put your foot on the table.
Yeah, this is for a
Look at that, ladies and gents.
I've got gout.
It's got his Havanas on. Now, JB is one of the healthiest people I know.
Clearly not.
No, but you have always suffered with it, haven't you?
Dead on the inside.
High on uric acid. So if anyone's got any advice for JB on how he can get rid of his gout, because he's on medication as well, hit him up with a little message at James Burt Official. I reckon there's someone out there that goes...
I bet it's a nutritionist. You need cherry juice. Some more cherry juice you need.
Cherries on that.
Go on, what you got? You got one of each?
Yeah, I'm going to go... I've had a bit of a tough couple of weeks in business.
I saw that, babe. I was going to ask if you was all right. Your newsletter sounded like you was having a bit of a tough old.
Yeah, I just think things that sometimes it wears me. I think $1.5 million payroll a month. The responsibilities, and I came across this quote and I put it on my Instagram, and I've heard it before, and it just come to the front of my mind, and it's. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Oh, I saw that today, yeah.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. And for all of our listeners and viewers, you guys are, all of us, we're taking a path less travelled. That's the choice you take in business. And you know what? It really ties in neatly, beautifully to your quote. Sharks do eat well, but, we're surrounded by dangers and things that can take you out. You've got to keep your mindset going all the time. You get knocked, and then you got... there's only so many times before it knocks you. You go, next, I'm going to sort it out tomorrow. I'm going to think positive, do good things, write a list, get there. Yeah, we've all got to do that stuff. But every now and then you are a human being and you just think, just give me a break, And so I thought, and I think a lot of people, a lot of people come up to me, especially when I speak today, James, you don't say well, but okay. Just be careful for what you wish for.
I get that all the time on your behalf.
Yeah.
They're like, it's amazing what he does. I was like, if you actually saw what goes on behind the scenes, and people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, we'll do 5 episodes of a podcast and he's got to stop in the middle because at lunchtime, instead of having a lunch break like everyone else, he's got to try and get a loan across the line, or he's got to respond to 50 emails or whatever. And it looks very good from the top line, doesn't it? Like, you get all this freedom and flexibility and blah, blah, but people don't see what...
Freedom is absolutely not what it is. Absolutely not what it is. The responsibility to everyone else is huge. I tell you what made me think...
Does it get to a point where you're just like, 2,500 people get paid by you each month? Do you ever go...
that happen as well? Jesus. Ultimately, I have to sort it out. Do you know what really made me put that quote on? Maddie, who works in our office, that's worked for me for a long time, and I love her to bits. She's one of the most... Chud's about me. She's really positive. She's on holiday all the time. My nickname for her is Judith Chalmers. She is... Every weekend she does something. And we go in there, I go, what you do? Where are you going on holiday this weekend, Mads? And she laughs and she goes, we're off to France or the Lake District or the Peak. She's, then she says, and she, I was in Port au Prince with the family last week. And she said, Jim, do you have a nice holiday? And I just paused and I said, I don't really like holidays because there's stuff going on that I feel needs my attention. I'm not deserving of it. And not deserved, that's not true, but I just feel I get actually anxiety when I'm away. I don't mind admitting that. The second the plane lands in the UK, this time I was in Luton Airport, I just felt better.
No one's ever got to Luton and gone, I feel better. No one, apart from you.
But I did, and I just went, I can't wait to get in. Because I feel like, the internet helps you go away. There's no two ways about it. The smartphones help you go away and do things. But the Saturday, Sunday and the bank holiday Monday were great. And then Tuesday, the emails don't stop.
Yeah.
Like today, I've sort of got a bit of what I call email anxiety because, I was speaking for 4 hours this morning. I had a little break on the way here, and then I'm doing 3 podcasts with you. And so that's on me, and then she turned around and said to me, she went, well, it's your fault you created this big beast. That means that's how long she's worked for me, that she can
remember when it wasn't this big a beast.
Well, or that she can say that to me.
Yeah.
And I enjoy her, she's very honest. And she went, you've created all this. It is your fault. And she's absolutely right.
Yeah.
No one said you have to go and buy Lee Valley. No one said you have to go and buy Cafe Deli, Rossi Ice Cream, Roller City. I made all those things happen. But really, because, I don't know. That's the end of today's group therapy session. That was my quote. I've got a little fact for you as well. I just think it's our responsibility, JB. I feel like we do have a responsibility. We help a lot of people on this pod now.
We do now, especially on Spotify.
It is interesting. I thought this was good. Craig Shepherd sent me this in on James Sinclair Entrepreneur Instagram. You get some on your James Burt official
lots of
Instagram.
quotes, yeah. I think they would help me out because they don't like my quotes.
So there we go. Today's one was good.
Thank you.
Was it you, Chuds, that said what was the name of that book?
Naval Ravikant, the Armagnac of Naval.
Was the quote from that? Sorry, I was on the phone. Lovely book. So
Have you read it? It's good, isn't it?
It's one of my favourites, yeah.
Yeah, Chuds recommended it to me. I knew someone else, in the round of that.
It's one of those ones, every single page you go, that is
What was the quote?
It was a shark eats well, but it lives a life surrounded by sharks.
Nice, yeah.
Nice.
Do you know, you can't
That's
see
how you
Chuds
respond to it, though, isn't it? I read it and go, that's good. I read it at night and Hayley's going to sleep. I'm like, wait till you hear this. And she's like, I'm just trying to go to sleep now.
I've actually got a good book recommendation myself, but there's something really beautiful that just happened there that's really natural. I wish we had Chuds on camera there. And it's when someone really approves something, I've realised that. Chuds looked up into the sky when he went, oh, yeah, that's a good one, then smiled back.
Yeah.
I wish we had that on shot. It's like, that's when someone really approves of something. It's like that 2 second.
We have to think about it.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah. And then back in the room, I love them little moments. Yeah.
What's your fact?
So there are now more billionaires than ever. 2,781 in all. 141 more than last year. Did you think there was more than 2,781 billionaires in the world? Or do you think that's about right? I thought there would have been more than that.
A billion's a lot, though. No, I would have thought that's about right. Or I would have thought probably a little bit less.
It's 26 more than the record set in 2021. And they're richer than ever, JB, worth 14.2 trillion in aggregate if you add them all together. And that's up by 2 trillion in 2023. So 2024, they've gone up by 2 trillion in a year.
What's a trillion? 100 billion? Or is it 1,000 billion?
No.
That's 100.
Yeah,
100 billion?
Yeah, 100 billion.
How many trillion are you worth again now? Is it still just one? Are you still scraping the one?
No. They reckon Elon's going to be the first trillionaire, don't they?
Oh, do they? Yeah, I reckon. Go on.
A trillionaire, this sounds even more, a trillion, this sounds crazy, is a million.
A million.
That sounds insane.
A million.
You've got to sell a few pistachio donuts to get to a million, haven't you?
I think it's interesting watching your faces trying to figure that out because I'm looking at the amount of zeros, so it makes sense. But yeah, try and imagine that, a million.
So it's 16 zeros, isn't it?
12.
That is crazy.
12 zeros.
I tell you what I'm
Can
really
you take
proud
that number? How much do you sell a pistachio donut at Rossi for?
Wait, this is even more confusing now. I think there's an informal trillion, which is a million. And then there's a British trillion, which is a million.
What? It's like a million squared.
Yeah, you know, like in America, they sometimes classify a billion as 100 million, but over here we classify it as 1,000 million.
Yeah.
I think there's some confusion there.
No, a billion is definitely 100 million.
Universally?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely the case.
No,
So-
but Chaz is right. They do look at
no,
it
1,000. Sorry, 100 million times 10 is a billion.
Yes.
The number equivalent to the product of 1,000 and a million is a billion. So here it's saying 1,000 million.
1,000 million, yeah.
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 That's
okay.
right. Yeah. So if you've got 500 million, you're halfway there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What nonsense.
Do you reckon how big do you reckon your group of companies will get?
Can I just finish off my thing?
Yeah, go on.
So they're richer than ever, worth 14.2 trillion in aggregate. That's up by 2 trillion from 2023 and 1.1 trillion above the previous record, also set in 2021. Just a note, James, to put on your next podcast. Well, there you go, Craig Shepherd.
Is this the Bank
There
of
you go.
England? Bloody hell. Is there a press release you
No,
sent you?
it's really interesting because Chuds and I are off to Lad Bible tomorrow. They're interviewing me, and one of the questions.
Lad Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not interviewing you though.
Oh no, we're having a round table discussion.
Yeah, you're part of their open table discussions about
About what?
divisive stuff. Topic number 1 is, are billionaires needed? And then James is going to be a round table with a few other
Oh
people.
no, they're gonna Daniel Priestley, Gary thingamajiggy you on Bartlett, aren't they?
Well, let's see what happens. I can take it. Do you think
Who else is
billionaires are
gonna be
needed?
there?
No, I'm asking you now, JB. Do you think billionaires are needed?
Yeah, 100%.
Why?
Because they stretch what is feasible and possible. They take more risk than anybody else. It's the equivalent of going, is a millionaire needed? It's is a 6-figure entrepreneur needed? Yeah, it's needed at every level.
I think, well, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that we're in the minority, though.
You reckon? Do you think billionaires are needed?
Minority, by what percentage? I think that question's about 60-40 against the population. 60% of people agree.
What do you
that
reckon,
billionaire-
Judge? And Judge is a man of the people.
What, billionaire is
Yeah.
needed? Come on, this is a business podcast.
He loves it,
We're
doesn't
all
he?
going to be in agreement here.
He loves it, though.
The
Just
point
checking.
is, though, spoiler alert for the Lad Bible episode that will definitely be out, I think, by the time this goes out. James is sat around a table with like someone from the NHS and someone like a protester.
Of course it is. Stop oil or whatever.
Yeah, exactly that. So I think the idea is that they get 6 or 7 different opinions from different demographics.
Yeah, of course.
And they needed
So
a business owner.
intentionally divisive.
Exactly.
That's going to be interesting, though. Their content does numbers.
James just needs to behave himself and we'll come out of this okay.
Oh, you'll be great at this.
Maybe.
No, I think you will. No, maybe
I
about it.
might take some balloon models in my pocket, and if it just gets a bit hairy. I've got them here. Made by myself. You can buy these at partypieces.co.uk. I might just have them there and go, whoa. Things are getting a bit hairy here. Should I do it now? Just to prove.
Do you know what everybody likes, whether they work for the NHS or they're a billionaire? A sausage dog. A balloon dog.
Look at this, eh? We're going.
This is why you've got piles, though, isn't it?
Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Look at this, gang. Here we go. Not often do you get this on a business podcast. So when they get a bit hairy tomorrow, that's what I'm going to do. Yes. Well, so
there you go.
There you go. That's interesting fact to quote the week. Done for another episode.
Right, should we finally get on to chatting to
do
our
it.
guests? Let's do it. Right.
Hey gang, we're going back to the pod in just a moment, but I wanted to tell you about Entrepreneurs University. This is a platform that I've created for entrepreneurs and business owners that are serious about growth. There's 100 video lessons from me on everything in business, raising finance, buying companies, property investment, and everything in between. Attached to each video is a downloadable PDF that goes into more detail about what we've learned in the video. It goes one step further than that because I've also put stuff that you won't get anywhere else onto Entrepreneurs University. The lessons go into way more detail, but not just that. You're going to get my business plans, my spreadsheets, and all the files that I use to drive the KPIs in my business. Just think about how powerful that could be for your business. And here's the good news. You can try Entrepreneurs University for free. 14-day free trial. After that, it will cost you just $49.99 a month. That's less than a pair of Nikes to grow the profitability in your business. There's a link in the video description, and I cannot wait to see you in Entrepreneurs University.
Joey, are you still there hanging on the wings?
Can I just say, if this is the first time someone's come across this podcast, they're going to be like,
I know.
what is going on?
What's happening here? Joey, you still there? Do we still have you?
Yeah, I'm still here, guys. I'm still here.
Good stuff. Right, give us the origin story of Big Bro Bao then, please, my friend. Obviously, we chatted in the pre-chat chat, but tell us all of that lovely stuff again, just so we get a bit of context about you and the business, etc., before we help you out with the challenges.
Yeah, so originally started life as very much like James as an entertainer, and then trained as a chef in central London. Left entertainment altogether because we just wanted something new, so went into food full time, and then had another little business that I ran doing festivals and bars into festivals. COVID came along, killed festivals, and then I decided to open up a food truck, and that food truck developed into a restaurant in South Essex. Became one of the top restaurants in the area. Had like a 6-week wait for a table. It was
In where? Where was it? In Essex?
That was in Thurrock, yeah. So
what was
the
it
number
called?
one restaurant in Thurrock. So it was called Joey's Java. And it was a Spanish tapas place. And it was essentially a food truck, and then we built the restaurant around the food truck.
Yeah.
And then because of winter, we sort of closed up for winter, and then had opened up another business with a partner of mine, which went very, very sour and very, very south. So decided to leave Essex, and my sort of confidence in people was knocked a little bit. So I moved up here with my partner because she's from Suffolk, and my brother then contacted me and says, look, I'd really like to go into business with you. Let's do something together. And Pan Asian's always been a really good favourite cuisine of mine, and it's the biggest growth trend in terms of food cuisine type over the past few years. So I says, right, I've got this brand concept that I'm thinking of, and let's run with this. So, and that's how Big Bro Bao got its name. And we launched in a couple of years ago, and then it's gone really, really well. Opened our second site in Ipswich, which isn't far from Felixstowe, earlier this year. That's gone a little bit skew-whiff in terms of the venue. We were sold a dream really in terms of the venue. That was in like a food hall. But since another venue has reached out to us and says, look, we'd love to have you here instead. And it's literally 5 minutes from round the corner. So we've gone there. The rent is like a third of what it was. And we can't wait to relaunch here in about a week or 2 weeks time.
Can I ask you a couple of questions just for this? Are you paying yourself, or are you putting all the cash back in?
So all the cash is currently going back into the business. So we originally started with 25k we put into the business to set it up, and that included fitting out an entire restaurant, which even though, so where we're located in Felixstowe is on like almost like a box park style site, so everything is built out of old shipping containers.
Yeah.
And our restaurant is basically essentially 3 shipping containers that have been welded together. So it seats 60 people plus a terrace that holds another 30, and the terrace is beautiful. It overlooks the sea and everything else.
So, and are you making any money?
So all of the profit we've invested back into the business currently. So currently, me and my brother haven't taken anything out, but we own all the assets in there.
Could you, if you wanted to?
If we didn't, we could do. Yeah, if we didn't want to invest and grow the business. So like we want to, we're buying a festival setup, which our first festival is Ed Sheeran's concert at Portman Road, which we're doing the catering for in July. So, and then we're using my old festival contacts. We're doing that as mainly as a marketing thing. However, there is some really good money to be made at festivals. You know, if you get the good one, you can sort of turn 30, 40 grand in just a day selling bao buns. You know, it's some good revenue.
And do you produce monthly management accounts?
Yeah, so we have a monthly meeting with myself, Louis, and the managers of the 2 outlets, and basically sort of identify where we're going forward. We sort of tie it in with our marketing. We've basically got a marketing consultancy team.
Yeah, but do you produce like the numbers, like a monthly set of accounts, like a monthly profit and loss?
Yes, and we sit that with our accountant, and he also advises us on what we should do in terms of cutting and how to trim fat and bits and pieces. And we're trying to trim it as much as we can. Unfortunately, going into the new Ipswich location, sort of between February and now, we've lost about 70 grand, and it just wasn't feasible. It was almost at the risk of putting the whole business in jeopardy, because we ran them all as one holding company. We were sort of running, which was our first mistake. We really should have put separate sites as individual companies, because for that reason, if one was to fail, we don't want it to bring down the entire empire. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so our accountant advised us, says that this is what you guys really need to do. It is a bit more expensive, because obviously you have to produce separate accounts and everything else for them, but ultimately that's sort of like a safe net to put in.
Just make sure that, when you look at your profit and loss, what are you looking at when you bring it together?
So we're looking at, obviously, the customer ATV is a big one, and as well as customer footfall, what they're spending, and then the gross sales, and then the cost of those sales. So we get to look at whether our ingredient price has actually gone up or come down.
And what GPs are you getting at the moment on your P&L?
We normally have we're trying to get around sort of 70%. We don't really want to drop below that.
But I know you might be doing that when you price up the menu, but what does it convert to on the profit and loss?
So we work at about 10 to 20% on the net of profit. So it's not that much.
Now, what I want you to, I think maybe I need to explain. So you price up your menu, and you get all your ingredients, and you come up with the price on the menu. What tends to happen, and if your accountant's not pulling this out, then this is my primary focus that you need to get him to do for you. What you have your menu GP, like with all my locations, when it hits the profit and loss, that's your actual GPs, which then takes into account wastage, theft, thrown away stock, or whatever it is. And usually what happens in all hospitality and leisure businesses, the profit and loss, the monthly profit and loss, the GP is lower than what it is on the menu, because the menu doesn't take into account wastage, theft, and stupidity. And you just want to, I mean, if you're getting a 70% GP on your monthly profit and loss, then
no. So the 70% GP is what we put at a menu.
Yeah,
it's what I put. I mean, on our actuals, it's probably sitting around 40 to 45.
Yeah, which is what I would guess. So you've got to work. That's a big difference between. I mean, I have this with my team as well. You can say, look, we got 70-80% GP. Why is it only 44% on the actuals? Why are we wasting so much? Why is there so much theft? Are we giving away stuff too much for free? Whatever it is. And if you focus on that as a real KPI in your business, I'm really happy to hear that you're talking about average transactional value and stuff like that. If the most successful restaurateurs that I meet, are really focusing on that GP. There's some other things that, I believe now, and obviously being in this gig and doing this business and working with lots of people that have got restaurants, the overheads are the thing that kills you. That the turnover taxes, the ridiculous amounts of VAT and business rates that we pay in this country. It's like I always say, my biggest shareholder is HMRC, and I've never met them. They don't put any money in, and they take most of the money. Whatever. And I'm glad that you're tracking all those things, but also, my train of thought there. So average transactional value, the GPs on the thing. My view is on restaurants, if you're selling hot food, I think now, and this might scare you a little bit, Joe, but this is really where I believe it's at. If you're not selling £1 million worth of hot food in a restaurant, I don't think you can make money anymore. And I don't include drinks and wet sales in that. that kitchen must produce £1 million because people want to earn good money. You know, the front of house, the head chef, or, you know, the second chef, all of those people. And I think that's really where it starts to get exciting. That if you can't do £1 million worth of hot food plus drinks plus other stuff, then it's going to be very difficult. So the restaurants that I come across that make money are doing circa 2 million plus worth of revenue. And I think that's where the fun
and
begins.
that's one of the reasons why we needed to create sort of as many additional revenue streams to try and sort of bring it towards as a brand, because we ultimately, for festivals, we're using the same restaurant staff. We're just putting them onto the truck, and it's almost like having an additional kitchen.
Or not run the restaurant and just do festivals and have a nice life and have time off.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Absolutely.
So why don't you?
Then you don't have the fixed thing. I think it's more
Ego.
It's not so much ego, because sometimes it's a big pain. It's the fact of when you've built this sort of thing up from nothing, and it's also, I think, it's the first thing that me and my brother, who actually before we started this weren't that close together, and I think maybe it's the fear of us losing that bond again. So it's sort of like that family tie. Do you know what I mean?
But you can spend time at festivals together and go on holiday together. Don't let that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not what I want to be hearing from you, that you're using. Because I think, I'm looking at this estimated monthly revenue. If you was doing 60 grand a month just on festivals, I reckon you'll be keeping 15 grand for yourself.
Yeah.
You run a 60 grand restaurant, I reckon you'll be keeping 1,500 quid for yourself.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that, because I'm in it. I see it's really, I look at the Rossi Parlour, 1.4 million turnover. We make 250 grand out of that. That's a unicorn. There's no, there's a little bit of hot food. There's no alcohol, but that's, and really 250 grand, but probably putting about 80 grand of that 250 back into CapEx, new fryers, we're putting a roof on, whatever. It is really difficult. And I just want you to, restaurants, because you're in it. If you do persist on the restaurant, I've got some other ideas that I would look for. If I was doing what you was doing, knowing what I know, I'd go, right, overheads are high to run a restaurant. I've got rent, I've got rates. I would look like what I've done at the Blue Boar Hotel. This could be a 3 revenue stream business. We are doing around 55 grand a month on hotel. We are doing 50 grand a month on the pub. So that brings me 104 grand a month in. I open the restaurant here, brings in another 50 grand. At that point, because I've got no more rent and rates, that restaurant becomes quite an easy contribution to us. Yeah. So if you could find a location where you could put the restaurant in, but all the overheads are being covered elsewhere via a bar, via a hotel. And let me tell you now, you can buy hotels that are breaking even or making a little bit of money on leases and option agreements, and then you put your hotel and hardware hospitality in, do a lease option, then buy the freehold in 5 years, you could be on something. And that would be my train of thought, because yes, if you're building restaurants in London where there's 9 million people that live there, I've got a business in Ipswich, I've got Partyman World in Ipswich, there ain't 9 million people living in Ipswich. It's a much tougher thing to do without lots and lots and lots and lots of chimney pots. And so I would be looking to find locations where you can sweat the overhead a lot more, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this we're trying to do that at the moment. I think it's mainly capital for stopping us buying looking into a venue that we actually purchased. We just got multiple revenue streams options.
No, I'm not telling you to buy it straight away. I'm telling you to do a lease option. So you find a hotel.
Yeah.
And there's tired owners running it and they don't want to run it anymore. And you go, right, I'll buy it off you. What do you want for it? And they go, 2 million quid. You go, right, you get your money in 5 years. I'll pay you 50 grand a month a year now as a rent. You get the hotel, you get the bar, you put your restaurant in, you prove the concept 5 years, and the bank will take them out. And then you benefit from all the equity because you've agreed the purchase price at year 1.
Okay.
That's a James Sinclair playbook. Go and watch my YouTube channel. I've done that many, many times. Therefore, you don't have to buy the deposit. You don't have to find the capital. And you can take something on that maybe is making a small profit or breaking even or even making a profit that's got all the real estate there. You don't have to find the stamp duty, blah, 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 blah. And then you're off to the races.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm just making notes here.
I mean, literally, if you type in hotels for sale in Suffolk, I'm sure 20 will come up. Then go and do 20 viewings. One of them will do a deal like that. It ain't easy to get the finance to buy a hotel. And I've got lots around me and it is not easy. Banks do not like them. So, you know, the lease to buy is a brilliant little way of getting into it without having to find the capital. Once you've proved the point.
And is that something that you could probably do via the vendor directly?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. What about, I wanted to sort of have your idea as well on potential, in terms of other revenue streams, is things like, we've had a lot of people request things like mail order kits, like, you know, like
distraction, boring, don't do it.
Kits.
You know, get into your head. If it can't make £1 million easily, and make sure the word easily is in there, get rid of the distraction.
Okay.
I mean, what I look at this, you know, that I can see the pattern of early James Sinclair here. You open a restaurant, it's not quite doing well, so you're doing festivals to subsidise what the restaurant's doing to bring in enough cash flow. That's absolutely what you're doing. You know, really, the non-ego thing to do is say, let's not run this bloody restaurant anymore, and let's just do festivals. Think of all the time you get back. But if you do want to keep the restaurant, you need to be thinking as high a barrier to entry as possible. You know that restaurants are one of the most horrific failure rates in terms of businesses in this country. That's why banks don't like funding them. They hate funding them. They don't really like funding any hospitality and leisure. It's a ball ache. So you need to then go and think, right, well, I want to be the biggest and the best, and then prove it by numbers. You know, after 3 years with the good books to prove that you are the unicorn rather than the raw. Then you'll be able to get off and do some good stuff.
Yeah, I think that has been, we've already come across that in terms of we've used sort of several brokers and trying to finance it, because we did look at trying to purchase our own location, and they say that people just don't lend to restaurants at the minute. And
well, they never lend to restaurants. I mean, I wouldn't lend to a restaurant. Yeah, they're just such fickle businesses, you know, and I'm in hospitality, and I suppose because I'm in it, JB, you know, I've learned how tough it is. You need specialist staff that are becoming more and more scarce. They are not recession proof at all whatsoever. I mean, sorry, I'm just, you know, I'm in it, so I'm just talking about myself. People want to try new restaurants all the time, even if you're the best. They want to go and experience new. Now, I said this at a talk I was doing this morning. People were very content with having a holiday in Spain. But no, actually, I want to go and try the Caribbean. I want to go to Italy. The restaurants are the same. People want to go to new places and try new things, new type. You're saying one of the things that I really worry about as well that you said, you think it's the great thing, Pan-Asian or whatever it is right in the zeitgeist at the moment. Everyone loves it. What are they going to love in 2 years' time? You know, because it's constantly changing. It's I always say, if you don't innovate, you evaporate. But actually, I think restaurants are one of the hardest. It works in big cities like London, where there's 9 million people, lots of tourists going in. So because you've got all the 9 million people live there, but then another 30 million are coming in each year on planes and stuff. It protects you. That's why I look at day nurseries, you know, one of my businesses, or food services supplying restaurants, because people do want to spend money on what you're doing, mate, but they want to try new stuff all the time. And and
keeping that custom acquisition, and if it almost comes down to, we're trying to stretch our pricing. Pricing is massive at the minute because everyone tries to compare you to where our brand has now gone to a more commercial, family-friendly brand. People are now comparing us to the likes of McDonald's and Burger King and all that kind of stuff, and we just can't compete in terms of pricing because we don't have that economy of scale. And our sales have dramatically increased since to go into this new since going to this new model. However, it's still trying to change that customer perception that, you know, you still need to pay a little bit more. And like you said about that, you know, it's really hard. And that's why I think I'm so gutted that we don't operate the Americanism of where they go, it's this plus tax. Like if we said that to British customers, we go, oh, it's £6.50 plus VAT.
No, I would love that over here as well, because it would stop governments messing around with it, because they know it would be a vote killer. But even then, American sales tax is not 20%. You know, I think the mean average is 7.5% across the number of states there is. You know, so yeah, even if yours was 7.5%, you'd be having a laugh, wouldn't you? You'd actually be making money, paying yourself. You know, everyone could earn decent wages. You could invest in the business. It's just,
yeah, like when they lowered it during COVID.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was great time for it.
Yeah.
Everyone says, "Oh, I hate to be in COVID," and I'm like, "No, bring back COVID."
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm in the choir on that. Jamie, what's the next point?
So I think we've covered. The next one was finding staff that are as passionate about the brand as us.
Yeah, it was for that. It's I don't know if it's just my generation. I think I'm similar age to James, and I think we're almost that last generation, you know, I feel, of a work ethic. I just feel that I'm struggling to find staff that, you know, if they coming in 10 minutes before their shift starts, they want to be paid 10 minutes before their shift starts, even though that's on them. And when I say, well, no, you get paid from when your shift starts, and they're like, oh, well, then I'm just going to sit down and do nothing. And it's just,
there's always people like that, you know.
Do you know what I mean?
There's always, I think, there's always people like that.
Rather than doing what's best for the brand, and, you know, trying to push brand standards and knowing that it's we're all together ultimately. If they don't,
but those people would never get promoted. You know, giving is the start receiving. Those people that clock watch never get into positions of leadership. You know, it's always someone else's fault. You know, all of that never stops. So, unfortunately, you have to accept that that's what most people are like. But try and coach them, educate them. You know, say this is what your future could be like. You know.
Yeah, we have got some really good. We do have now some really good people, and I just wanted to run this by you, James. So our accountant suggested that in terms of a little, if we were going to continue with the brick and mortar premises, is that with the managers of those outlets, is rather than having them on such a high salary, is to have them on a slightly lower salary, but a share in the store. Because that then grows, it incentivizes them to obviously push.
What do you mean a share in the store?
So a share within, so if they have 10% of that store's yearly profits.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so a share, a profit share, just not ownership.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just a profit share.
Definitely bonus, but don't do it annually. Do it monthly, because business owners think with delayed gratification. What you want is to say to someone, look, if you achieve this by the end of this month, you will get this.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's something that we were looking into. Because obviously it's less risk, and it incentivizes managers to drive their teams, and it makes.
And you should have 3
easier.
levels. You should say, if you achieve this, you get this. If you achieve that, you get that. If you achieve that, you get that. So you have bronze, silver, and gold. I do that in lots of our hospitality businesses. On the 3 KPI rule, you manage them on average order value, so they're pushing spend per head. Yeah, the monthly profit and loss.
Yeah, and
then also on labour controls.
Yeah, labour control is something that we're really now hot on. When there was, I think it was one of our site in Ipswich where the manager literally just overspent so much on labour.
If you go into my Entrepreneurial University, you can steal my daily income sheet, which you put in all the hours that you're spending each day, and it shows you the percentage. And then they have to give you a reason if it goes over 25%. Why?
What's the rag? Is that the rag sheet thing you talk about?
Yeah,
talking to a few.
Yeah, well, no, that's
is that food
sheet,
costs?
That's food costs or pricing up, but I have a daily income sheet that works out my spend per head, and then you get the managers to fill it out, and then they send it to you at the end of the day, saying if they've overspent on labour or underspent on it. You just want it consistent.
And that's it. Like we have a rule for both ingredient and for labour is in the door times by 4. So whatever it costs us, you need to times it by 4, and that is the minimum we have to take in order to justify that cost. And that's, we sort of try and keep our staff in at around 25%, which is slightly less than the average at the minute. The average is sort of around 30 to 35, I think.
I know. Well, when I started out, it was always 25%. But I actually think the times it by 4 is not enough. You want to time. I've always lived by times it by 5. 20% for the product, 20% for the overhead, 20% for the staff, 20% for the VAT man, and 20% for a contribution to the business. So, are you timesing it by 4, including your VAT?
We're timesing it by 4. No, not including that.
Yeah, so the time.
I think we're doing it by 4 at the minute is because our rent, and so instead of basically paying rent and utilities, we pay a percentage of our turnover, which is 12.5% plus that, but that incorporates rent, electric, gas, wastage.
Good for you.
So we've got a really good deal there. And so it allows us to easily calculate what's going on. Really great in winter months where you don't take as much. Summer's a bit of a hard pill to swallow when you're sort of almost paying sort of 4 or 5 grand a week. But it is what it is. But yeah, we think we've got a good deal there.
Next time you do one of those, my advice would be to say, we will pay you 40 grand a year for rent. And then when our turnover goes over 1.2 million, we'll pay you 10% of all that turnover after that. Mm-hmm. That's a much better way of dealing with something like that, because you don't want to be paying turnover rent until you've made a profit. Mm-hmm. So if you get it to 2 million, you would pay 10% between 1.2 and 2 million. So they would get 80 plus 40. Because the first million, you don't really make money until you get past that in hospitality, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And final question from me is more to do with a specific location. So we've actually looked and put forward a thing to go into Lakeside, which I know you're in as well. I don't know how well it is. Does Lakeside have the same seasonality as?
I don't want to be responsible for saying you should do something or not. Lakeside still has 20 million plus people, but lots of restaurants fail in there. Lots do very well in there. I think, again, if you get the overheads nice and super low, then it could really work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we've now got that brand handbook that I was talking about in the thing that's now been done and dusted, and everything is now systemized. When we did this whole rebrand, me and my brother basically visited every fast food chain from Wagamama's, McDonald's, Burger King, Nando's, the whole lot, and we took different aspects. We managed to get all of the training manuals for all of those brands. And we took the best aspects that we thought would fit into our business and sort of created a hybrid of all of those brands, and in terms of operations. And all we just now need is the key thing, I think, is the economy to scale to buy those, so we can lower effectively our pricing as well.
I think one of the big things that I would be doing as well is mystery shopping your business all the time. It makes your team much more effective. I mean, we use obviously Interaction, our business, but mystery shops.
I did ask for. You have sent me the thing to Interaction. I think that's something we are going to do.
Just really, really will drive standards up, and they will tell you, did you get offered this? Did you get offered that? And that's why those, like KFC, apparently do it 2 times a week per store. I mean,
really?
But that makes the managers make sure they do what they say they're going to do. Yeah.
Yeah, KFC, I think, in fact, a lot of the brands have their own EHOs as well.
Oh, yeah. So you can, absolutely, yeah.
Right, well, I think that's all of the questions done and dusted, isn't it? We had one about that. We've already covered that off. There was a final question that we'll ask here, Joey, that I'll pick one of the three that you submitted. Would you franchise the business out or open up the outlets yourself and own the lot but have the stress and the stretch of managing other sites?
I don't even think you should think about that until you've got your business sorted, and I don't think you're at that level. So just get rid of distractions, get this place making £200,000 profit per site, and then you look at franchising or scaling up.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go. Right, Joey, I'm going to Felixstowe in September with my old school pals. I'm going to make sure they all come down. Yeah. One of my mates has got a beach hut, like a little beach cabin thingamajiggy. So we go there every year.
In the summer, it's beautiful. It's lovely.
It's beautiful. You know, with the golf course, we stay near the golf course. So
Yes. That's the other side. That's the other end of the seafront to us.
Yeah, we'll
so
have
you
a-
have to walk the other end.
We'll have a wander in, and I'll bring them all in. So there'll be at least 6 hungry lads coming in September. But for those who are maybe summering there or in and around the local area, where can they find out more information about you and your delicious looking food, which does look delicious, by the way?
Yeah, so you can check us out on our socials, www.bigbrobao.co.uk or at bigbrobauk on all the big platforms.
Amazing
And
stuff.
it'll light us up like a Christmas tree.
There we go. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. We wish you well. Thanks for being on, Joey.
No worries. Take
Cheers, mate. Take care. See you later. There you go,
Bye-bye.
Joey, all the way from Big Bro Bao. Big Bro Bao. Big Bro Bao. Big Bro Bao. Try and say that fast 3 times.
Big Bro Bao. I'm not. I think that's difficult. Struggle to stay motivated because this is the big problem with hospitality and leisure business. It's easy to turn money.
Yeah.
You know, you go, like we're in our first year, we're doing 800 grand turnover, and so that I think that fuels the entrepreneur going, look, we're doing all this money. Surely we can turn this thing around.
I think most
It's been
people
difficult.
would be so surprised that any brick and mortar store, any independent food chain, no one's doing good money till they get to £1 million in sales.
Just on hot food. I'm not
Just
including-
on hot food.
There's quite a lot of restaurants that would be doing 400,000 on drinks and light bites, like a pub, like a,
Yeah.
you got a country pub, it'd be doing £1 million and a big chunk of it would be coming from wet and then a bit on food. It's not until they get that country pub to do $1 million on hot food that
It's just such a lot of money, isn't it? To actually turn it. See, what do you reckon?
Some
a
of
bun
these-
is £7. They're something like that, aren't they? £7. Those bao buns. Depends where you are. So £1 million divided by 7. So he's got to sell 142,000 bao buns.
the reality is that, mate, you need to look at the average transactional value and it's probably, we should have asked him that, 23, 24 quid.
Still a lot of people through that
Is
door.
he still
isn't
there?
No, he's gone.
Yeah.
I'll do
Maybe
a
a
fake
bit.
voice. You ask me. 24 quid. It's a lot of people through a door in Felixstowe, Ipswich, though, isn't it? To
Not
your
enough
point.
chimney pots as well.
Not enough chimney pots.
This is what, people always say to me, why don't you open a rainforest cafe? That was always one of my favourite. And that's gone bust in London now, by
Yeah.
the way. But people always used to send me something, I go, because there ain't enough people in Basildon.
Yeah.
They'll
They'll
all
go to
come
it
for
once 'cause it's new.
Yeah, the first
Yeah,
3
yeah.
months you'll be thinking, I'm making more money than a drug dealer here, and it's
Yeah.
legal. And then it will.
And then reality will kick in. Right, it's time to do the 8 traits of the greats.
Okay, gang, this is the 8 traits of the greats, and over here we have a board with the 8 traits on. Number 1 is starting with the end in mind. JB, what are you giving?
I think he's
I think
doing
he
that,
is.
isn't
He's
Yeah.
trying.
He is.
Whether it's the right end in mind is a different thing.
Yes.
Passionate about their cause. Oh yeah, he's passionate about
Loves a bad one.
Pan-Asia.
Pan-Asian. Jimbo's so excited about it. He's making up words. Pan-Asian.
Untold amounts of resilience. Anyone that works in hospitality gets
Yeah.
that from me. They master relationships, people. I think we can give that.
Yeah.
Commercial awareness. I don't think he understood his monthly profit and loss.
Not to the extent he
No.
needs to.
He needs to get better at that. And when you're listening back to this, mate, you might be producing it. Do you understand it inside and out? I think a lot of people, they go, I produce the monthly profit and loss. That's like saying, I know how to say good night in Spanish, buenas noches. But that don't mean you can speak the language.
Yeah.
You've got to learn it. Like,
What
I know
a
it.
weird analogy.
And I didn't even say it very
I know,
well.
bonos noches. It's the least Spanish sounding.
Is he
thing
the
I-
English bloke? Me, spreche lingo. Yeah, you say it properly because you're very
Buenas noches. What's wrong with that?
That was so good. You do a very good Italian, Spanish.
Spanish accent. Well, I lived there for 3 years.
Yeah, so
I didn't learn very
what
much.
other things can you say? I love it when you do it. It turns me on a little bit.
I don't speak a lot because I used to work at the airport.
No, but you got to see in
So I
your
go, hola, ¿qué tal? Dos personas, uno cochecito y dos maletas, which is basically 2 people, 1 buggy and 2 suitcases. That's all I learned.
I know, le quinta por favor.
Yeah, there you go.
The bill,
you always
please.
need that one.
Yeah, you need that
always
one.
need that one.
But I find that they all understand, can I have the bill, please? Because
Yeah.
they're going to get some money, whatever language it is. You should learn that one. What's that? Una más por la baba.
One more drink
No.
or one more for the baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, you practically speak
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, sort of.
Una más por la baba.
What one more are you buy for the baby?
I don't know. I remember my dad always used to go for me like una más por la baba.
Oh, there you go.
My dad is quite good at it as well. But anyway, master relationships with people. I think commercial words, we said no. They innovate so they don't evaporate.
I don't think you can have that one.
Well, he's saying he's Pan-Asian and he's trying to do festivals.
He's saying he's Pan-Asian. What?
Give him half. I'm not giving him for master marketeer. They stay teachable and curious. Yes. No,
Come
1,
on.
2, 3, 4, 5.5.
5.5.
No laugh.
He's not having a laugh at
If
5.5.
you've got 5, we say this. It's a 5. The business is going to thrive.
It is indeed. Do you think 5.5's
Having a laugh.
fine?
If you get to 6, we're saying it's a 6. They're full of entrepreneurial tricks.
That's right. We are saying that.
And if you get to 7, we're
Don't
off to
go for it all.
entrepreneurial heaven.
Chuds hates it. He hates it. Look how
It's an
angry
8
he is.
on par with James Sinclair the Great.
No one's on par with
I
you,
don't think
are
we've
they?
ever had a 1, have we?
I think if I came on as a guest, I'd be a 1.
We've never had a 1.
We probably have. We just haven't said it.
I don't think we've ever had a 2, which there's so much work to do. And number 3, they need to think, is this business for me?
Yeah,
We've had a
because-
few 3s, haven't we?
Yeah, but also don't forget, like you've got a team of people that vet this in advance. So if we get a 1, then someone's not done their job properly.
No.
There's no way it's getting past Stevie. She's a savage.
Well, she's
And if
let a
it
few
does,
through.
and then
She's much better now.
And then Chuds would be, he'd maul them. He'd absolutely maul them.
Most get 4 though, don't they?
Yes.
And a 4, it's a 4. A few tweaks and they can have much more.
There you go.
There you go.
Right, it's now time for this before we wrap up. Thanks, Chuds. It's time for the business quiz.
Are you be-dick-dick-dee? Is you be-dick-dick-dee?
Oh, I wonder which this is going to be.
And it's fun. Which one's clever and which one's dumb?
Izzy Wizzy, let's get quizzy. You can use that one tomorrow when you do Lab Bible. Guys, be like, guys, let's all calm down. Izzy Wizzy, let's get quizzy. How many billionaires are there in the world? Ask them that.
Yeah.
They go mad, weren't they, for that one on Lab Bible? Anyway, inside this folder here, there is a quizzical question related to today's subject or topic. Me and James Sinclair, and you guys at home, battle it out and find out who gets closer to the answer. This is good. How many hot meals are sold at home Tottenham Hotspurs game? So I'll read that again properly. How many hot meals are sold at a home Tottenham Hotspurs game? That is burgers, hot dogs, chips, nachos, and probably loads of other pretentious food because they're a posh new stadium. So how many hot meals are sold at Tottenham Hotspur home games? Bear in mind the capacity is about 60,000.
I mean, who goes to a football match to have a hot meal?
Oh, loads of people now.
What they're saying, burgers and...
Burgers, hot dogs,
So it's not in
chips, nachos.
They actually say those things
It
there.
says those things. There you go, if you want the proof. Burgers, hot dogs, chips, nachos, etc.
We've done a bit of work at the stadium where West Ham are. What's that one?
London Stadium.
We've done Rossi there quite a bit. The volumes are huge.
Yes.
The volumes are huge. And it's so expensive because
How
of...
many hot meals are sold? I am going to go.
Chaz, when you've gone to a football match,
Yep.
you went to Manchester United, didn't you, a couple
Yep.
of weeks ago?
Did he?
Did you and your dad buy a hot dog or a burger?
Nope.
Did you not?
We ate before and then after.
ate before. So you literally tried to avoid the food. I love that about. Do you know what I like at a football match? You still get it at Charlton because they're like a lower league team. Well, they're not now. Championship. Good Charlton. Bovril. I love a Bovril.
We sell the Bovril at Rossi Ice Cream Company.
Oh, do you? I love a Bovril. It's basically like drinking liquid cat. What's that?
It's like an old school.
Sounds like 1930s.
I couldn't have it now because of my gout. Sad times.
It's a bit like a hot
beef
chocolate,
stock.
isn't it? No.
Bovril is
what am
like
I
hot
thinking?
chocolate.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Horlicks.
Yeah, you're thinking of Bourneville.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a beef stock drink. Really, it's like the bones of cows.
Sounds like something post-war.
Oh, so good, Bovril. Shout out to Bovril. Free advert.
What are you going for then?
I'm going to go 240,000 hot meals.
What, with a stadium of 60,000
60,000 people. I reckon there's people who have more than one thing. So I'm taking
this is per
burger
game or
and
the month?
chips and thing.
Give me.
Per game.
I'm just going to tell JB to reassess his answer. That's what I'm going to do there because I think you're a
No,
nice
no,
guy,
I really want him
and
to.
I want you to hold some kind of reputation. So those numbers, everyone's eating something twice.
Yeah.
No.
4 times.
4 times.
Yeah, at least.
Burgers, chips. Yeah, but that's how I eat. Burger and chips before. Drink before.
I
Bovril at half
I just
time.
told you I went to see United
pie.
and didn't eat anything.
Yeah, but I think that's because you care more about your
Right.
fine dining.
So go, I'll have 4 burgers here with the family. No, just me.
6 Bovrils. I love stadium
4
food.
hot dogs and 4 portions, just me.
Back in the day, you'd have had a bit. You wouldn't eat anymore, would you?
I'm buying something for everyone in this line. I'm going 15,000.
15,000?
You saying 250,000. Leave it at that. You take your first answer.
No, I'm going to go 30,000 then. I'm
Come on then.
going to say that half the people have one thing then.
Right, come on. What's the answer?
Oh, hang on. Yeah, I've got that as well, haven't I? Hold on. Right, the answer is...
Can I just, before I give you that.
240,000. Unbelievable. This is rubbish. I refuse to believe this. I'm doing individual items here.
Can I
Burger,
get,
chips, milkshake, 3 things. Fact check that.
what is the answer?
8,500.
So when we was running events for...
To be fair, just want to jump in. Last week or 2 weeks ago, you got 2 answers exactly correct.
Thanks,
didn't you?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Thanks, Chaz.
So well done, JB.
Thank you, mate.
Were they
Even
giving
it
you
out
the
now,
answers?
don't I?
No.
No, we're not.
If you, there's a little bit of interesting fact or quote of the week for you. When we was doing ice cream at ice cream
Don't
events,
bother with that this week. Get it out of it.
when we was doing
Thank you. Ice cream at events.
whether we would pay to go and put ice cream vans at a festival or stuff like that,
Yeah.
we would work out that 10% of visitors would buy. That's the
Is that
rule of
all?
thumb. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
So,
It's about right there then.
so if you had, I don't know, 60,000 visitors, you would sell 6,000 portions of ice cream.
Wow.
But I thought it'd be a bit more. That's why I sort of doubled it.
I thought
because-
it'd be a bit more, which is why I doubled it.
But I
And
do
added a
think
0.
if you are pricing up to do, this is because this might be picked up by hospitality
very,
rich
yeah.
people. If you're pricing up to do festivals, assume that 10% of the visitor numbers are going to buy.
That's good advice because Joe mentioned that they're doing the Ed Sheeran gig at whatever, Ipswich Town's, and he's probably going, there's going to be 30,000 people there.
And actually, can I just say, that's if you are the sole person providing that. So if we was going to, a big summer festival, we'd be the only ice cream seller there. If you are then competing with other food people, that 10% would be diminished much lower.
Okay. Handy for people to know. They have at Tottenham Stadium, they've got 45 separate kitchen areas. They have 165 rational kitchens. The stadium has an on-site bakery, coffee roastery, pie making facility. Oh, I love a pie. And a brewery. You can see the brewery as well. It's very cool. And there's over 65,000 pints of lager are sold on a game day.
I think we done £90,000 worth of sales when we done London Stadium work. We done their big, they have like a big baseball thing they do there.
Oh yeah, they do the
So
MLS season
So we done all
series,
the
don't they?
slush and the ice cream.
Yeah.
We done loads, and I think I lost 30 grand on doing it.
Really?
Yeah. There's a little lesson to you there, guys. That's how hard hospitality is.
Wow.
Basically, when everyone goes, God, have you been there? It's like, it's 15 quid for a hot dog, or, it's seriously high prices. They have to pay 20% VAT on that, 30% to the stadium, and then 30% to the council or something, because they own it. So there's the
Ah,
operator.
okay.
Yeah. So basically 70%, then you get to keep 30%, but then you've got your cost of product,
Yeah, of course,
and
yeah.
your staff. So really tough. You need to do some big numbers.
There you go. Good advice for you out there. If you have enjoyed this week's episode of the podcast, please feel free to let us know. Leave us a 5-star review every download your podcast. Obviously, by this time, at the time of recording, we're a week out from the James Sinclair live in London. So
it would have been
don't
done.
promote that. It'll be done. It's already
Yeah.
done.
Well, but we are talking about Business Masterclass, which is coming to London. This is our big event, ladies and gents. If you'd like to spend 2 days with us in London to learn how to buy companies, getting customers, getting your business to be more profitable, raising finance, all of that and everything in between around the entrepreneurial sphere, we would love to see you there. Tickets are on my website, jamessinclair.net. Pardon me.
Wow.
jamessinclair.net. And I'll see you at Business Masterclass in London to grow your business.
And if you've enjoyed it, leave us a comment on Spotify. 250,000 people are listening on Spotify now.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
We used to over-exaggerate and say 100,000 people listen to this podcast each
No,
month.
It was.
I mean, we have now really undersold ourselves.
We are viral and finally in the good way, not the bad way.
No, we are doing exceptionally well on this
Yeah.
podcast now. It's really, we're always in the top charts on, and we're doing well on YouTube, I think, as well.
Still, if you Google Entrepreneur Podcast UK, I mean, it's a niche title, but whatever, we'll take it. Number 4.
Well, there you go, baby.
There you go. If you go Entrepreneurship UK, James Sinclair Essex, we're number 1 for that. Tell you what, top of Google, isn't we? Top of Google.
Google.
Right, we'll see you next time. Ta-da.
Cheers. Bye-bye.